Jez stick around. Gonna decide against it for the time being and thought they may have gone in for it. Instead, gonna back away, spend some of the gold that they've earned. So the first tower falls in the bottom lane. And I do think that Candy Panda and Ro8 are now going to move to middle and then top to try get the towers down. You can see they've already set themselves up in this lane. Jez is stuck around. He hasn't even decided to back just yet.
It took a long time to get there, though. Allowed Celiver to get back in position. Jankos going to head top. Or is he? Is he just going to farm? Freddy diving in there on towards Zazas, and that's how it's been here. As soon as the counter-strike starts swirling, we see Zazas just jumping away. They're going to tank up this turret. That will be the first of the game for Ro8 as they bring it back level on that front. Freddy needs to be a little bit careful about this one. He's going to have some pressure on him in just a second. There's the knock-up. This is a finisher. No way Freddy's going to escape that. Jankos gets the kill.
Yeah, I actually think it was a red buff tick. Oh no, it may have been the decoy. Jankos moved away. He tried to let the kill credit go over to Zazas, and unfortunately, he got that one. So Zazas 0-1-3, got 3 assists. He's playing Aatrox. He's got a different build to what we've seen from Darien in the previous game. He's gone for Blade of the Ruined King as his first item, as opposed to that Ravenous Hydra. He's struggling to deal with Jax. Even though Jax is 0-3-1, it is because of a multitude of ganks from Jankos coming into that lane. CS, Freddy, has died 3 times. He is still even with Zazas, and he's winning out. Every time we look at those one-on-ones, it's Freddy that's forcing Zazas backwards. So we'll see if Zazas can start to scale himself a little bit more. He's got some armor, which will help him deal with at least some of Freddy's damage.
Blue buff there going to overpower. That bottom lane, of course, was already removed of its outer turret, but Candy Panda and Ro8 want the farm. They've got a 40 CS lead. They've built up on that side of things, doing really, really well on getting the farm their way. Zeal is now added in as well for Candy Panda on top of his Bloodthirster.
Yeah, at this point in time, Candy Panda and Ro8 opting to push the bottom lane, as opposed to going for the likes of a tower in the mid lane. What we've seen SK do in the past is when Dragon is coming up, they have focused Dragon into tower or tower into Dragon. And we'll see if that is a possibility for them. It is still 1 minute 10 away. You can see Jez is trying to apply some focus, pull members of Ro8 to the top lane, and then maybe go bottom. Right now, there's some pretty good wave clear there from Zazos.
Evelyn is headed top as well, but spotted out by that pesky pink ward that's been appearing over and over again. As Jankos does take some good damage there from Candy Panda, who's, to be honest, a massive threat already, even just 20 minutes into the game.
Yeah, Candy Panda is he's got the makings of most likely going to be that static Shiv. He's got some very good long-range damage. He's going to have very good wave clear. And you see him, they grouped up on that tower, just like we talked about. Going to go for the tower. If they can get the tower, great. Then they can go Dragon. Alternatively, you can just, swap pull members towards the tower and then get good positioning on Dragon. So the 2v2 in this top lane is Svenskeren is clearing out a ward. Jankos may jump in on him. No knockup.
Yeah, no knockup. Did get the slow in the end, but not going to be able to chase that one on through. Freddy, meanwhile, just continues to rack up that farm, staying very even to that of Jankos, despite the fact that he's gone down those 3 times. This mid lane now is going to be a bit more focused as well, with that bottom lane turret already gone. Are they going to be able to challenge for the outer mid turret? We do have Candy Panda still in the bottom lane, continuing to push though.
It's so difficult to get to the tower when you're dealing with the Ziggs because of the wave clear of his bouncing bombs and the Hextech minefield. Even though the minefield was changed a little bit now in 4.2, which is what TR is on right now, it's still very, very effective. And you can see the rest of SK, they can't afford to back now because the Dragon is up. Ro8 is making a small move towards the pit, and SK is just trying to prevent them. They're trying to hold on to the entrance, basically, preventing Ro8 getting in there.
Svenskeren down there all on his own. Stood there as, okay guys, are you going to come and help me with this one? There's no wards on it, so we can do it if you want, if you fancy that one. They're a little bit scared, I think, of Ro8 making a positional play on them if they do head down towards that Dragon. In fact, Ro8 now have got wards of their own on that bottom side, or at least just went in there to check things out. But Svenskeren setting up a trap to maybe have a go at Celiver.
Yeah, I think he's seen Jankos going around the side. This is a little bit risky. SK are somewhat split up, so they need to make sure they find a target and pick them off quite quickly. It's also a lot more passive from SK. They've had the opportunity to push the tower, they've had the opportunity to go for Dragon, and they're not risking it. I think they don't want to get caught out by a multiple man. Oh, they've caught Svenskeren. Van doesn't want it. I think SK don't want to get caught out by multiple man Cyclone plus Mega Inferno Bomb. There is the potential for a team fight to go wrong, and they are only 1,500 gold ahead, so it's not like they can really completely dictate the flow of the game because they don't have as much of a lead as it maybe looks like.
Back into this top lane, you see that 2 out of 3 parts now of the Trinity Force is done with that Cutlass for Freddy. So kind of split in 2 directions on this one. Finally, we see SK Gaming making a move. That's because Overpower and Vander have recalled into base. They know that this is an absolute freebie for them.
There's nothing Ro8 could have done. I mean, all of that pestering and posturing in the river, landing the hook onto Svenskeren. I mean, Ro8 would have been well aware that that was happening, but they didn't have Xaxus with them. I wonder if that's just saying we're not comfortable contesting. So SK secure themselves a dragon completely uncontested, grab themselves another gold lead, and a big power spike has been completed. That Lichbane is now secured, sitting in the hands of Jesus 20 seconds ago. And that's really the big spike for Lulu's. When they've got Athena's and Holy Grail and Lichbane, they've got a lot of mobility, they've got a lot of damage that can come down thanks to the Little Answers and that Lichbane proc. And Jesus has already tried to roam a couple of times, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him moving around the map just a little bit more.
And the blasting one on top of that, just a bit more power. You see again, Blancos hanging around. Is he gonna be able to bait Steady Freddy that far up the lane to get a gank off? Freddy's not had the best of luck, I think we can safely say up there. 3 deaths to his name, but I don't think he's going to be lured into this one. Well, even if he is, he might have a bit of a reply with Svenskeren now headed up as well.
Yeah, Ro8 have to be very quick. If they want to make this happen, they need to go super, super fast. Deciding not right now, just waiting for the moment. I think Freddy, he's doing very well considering how many times Jankos has ganked him. I mean, this is the 4th or the 5th time this game. 3 of them have resulted in kills. He's still held onto his tower, mostly because Svenskeren has responded well. I think every time they've got a kill on Jankos, Svenskeren's been there to push Xaxus and Jankos away. So, good covering play, I think, from SK's jungler. But as it stands, that ends up fizzling. Boomerang Blade, not this time.
Not this time. Overpower will get that one. So we're at that lull phase where both teams trying to really figure out how they can make an opening for themselves on this one. Svenskeren has killed that pink ward about 4,000 times by now. That's a good amount of gold invested, to be honest, by Ro8 into that one single ward. SK now have finally a minion wave pushing up this mid lane, and they're going to take the tower.
So finally managing to secure it. Overpower backed away to go for the blue buff. That was the opening that SK needed to get on the tower. So they've got the 2nd tower down now. They got access to both the red and blue buffs. And the way SK has been playing, it's been very passive. This could be an opening for them to get some vision control and maybe start challenging for future buffs as a group or as a team.
You know, it's bad news though when Ajax goes back and finishes Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruin King within 1 shopping trip.
Xaxus is in trouble.
I hope that Xaxus checks his items next time that all comes down. There's a slow actually coming in towards him. Svenskeren is there as well. Use the Blade of the Ruin King, steals all that movement speed and will recall under the safety of his own tower.
Now, if SK want to stay grouped, they could once again shove this tower down. It's been a lot slower. Candy Pan has been split pushing on Siva. He's not doing it on Vayne this time around. He's been left basically alone in the lane. The rest of Ro8 have come to defend, so they're going to hold onto this tower for a little bit longer. N-Rated is with Candy Pan in the mid lane. They're trying to out-shove Overpower on Ziggs.
Yeah, but as we said before, minefield, bouncing bombs coming in. Not a lot to really talk about. That is Ziggs being Ziggs, clearing out those waves quicker than you can really get any damage down onto the turret. One thing that SK have started to do a little bit now that that outer ring of towers is down is get some vision inside of Ro8's jungle, but Ro8 continue with these pink wards. They have bought a lot of pink wards so far this game.
SK are just making it abundantly clear that they are very comfortable going into the very late game. I actually think that SK's team composition is going to outscale that of Ro8's, and I feel like Ro8, they're 3,000 gold down now. They need to find some plays. They need to find an area where they can force a fight or force an objective. The 1 tower they've secured was in the mid lane, and it's not enough right now. I think 26 minutes in, they've ganked Freddy. That's the only accomplishment that Ro8 can really claim to have succeeded in. Whereas SK, they're dictating the tempo of the lanes. They're dictating where Ro8 defends, and SK are controlling where they're pushing.
They've ganked Freddy. They've killed him 2 times, but it's half an hour in now, and he's got his Trinity Force, he's got his Blade of the Ruin King, and he's going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage if you don't watch out. And specifically to those turrets, the best sound in the world, if the Jax is on your team at least, is when he really gets stuck into those. And looks like both him and Zaz are quite happy to just say, you know what, let's just get on our side of that top lane and palm up a little bit more.
Yeah, one of the things that we're seeing about that top lane match between Freddy and Xaxus is that potentially Ro8's game plan was to get Xaxus fed, get Xaxus split pushing. And it could explain why Jankos is ganking there. Unfortunately, Xaxus isn't actually strong enough to win those 1v1s. He needs the help. I mean, let's see the first duel. The moment Freddy even hints at a fight, Xaxus just says nope and walks away. And if Ro8's game plan was to split push with Aatrox top and the rest in the middle, it's not working. I mean, look at that. Freddy just a couple of auto attacks and empowered, and Xaxus is backing away.
Play to the Ruin King, but he's going to walk straight in towards Svenskeren. But his Aatrox has got to jump. That means he can get away. And is in fact going to recall. However, that pressure is going to open up the final outer turret here for SK Gaming. Freddy will hammer that one down, but Enrated gets hooked. This is bad news for them. Intervention is going to be used. Wild Growth was available and will be used for Jesus. There is a culling coming out. Candy Panda actually having a good go at Celiva. He may just finish him off. No, not quite. He took the lantern home.
Yeah, manages to get out. So Celiva gets out cleanly. Candy Panda still had barrier, and we actually seen Enrated was able to get away without using that intervention. So I think that was good play. Now Jankos is the target.
Oh, and he's actually going to get stunned up there ever so briefly. Where's the finisher there? And it's Svenskeren now on a rampage. The Xaxus jumps back in. The rest of his team is there. Can they finish off Svenskeren? We see the Randuins pop from both sides. Svenskeren has to flash. Where's the W? He needs the W to get away from this one. Actually, he's sticking around and still doing a lot of damage. Goes straight in. There's the knock-up and the shutdown for Xaxus.
The rest of SK is pushing the mid lane, though. They've got the inner turret. Candy Panda's in the bottom lane. They've lost one member of their team, but they have the potential to grab 2 towers. That was very smart play from Svenskeren.
Got shut down. His perfect score is gone, but that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Mid inner turret, bottom inner turret, dragon as well.
Massive swing. This is even bigger. SK Gaming get away from that fight where Enrated was caught. Whether or not that hook landed intentionally, what I mean is, did Enrated bait it? Thank you. Let's start this again. Did Enrated bait the hook or not? Regardless, they get away. Candy Panda straight up challenged Celiva. In the 1v1, Celiva was forced to lantern away to safety. Then the rest of SK were pushing the towers. Dragon is secured, Svenskeren and Freddy hold Ro8 busy in the top lane, and they get themselves a 7,000 gold lead now. They extended that small 2k gold lead by 5,000 gold over that last 2 minutes of play.
Look how much they've got to spend as well. 2,500 gold for Freddy. And he's already got his Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruin King. He's going a little tankier just after that. I wonder if he'll go straight up to the likes of that Guardian Angel. We also have that Rabadon's Death Cap for Jesus now as well, although I believe that was picked up slightly earlier than what I'm mentioning it now. But the point is, he's got a lot of damage along with that Lich Bane.
Yeah, and also with that last swing of gold, Enrated's been able to finish his Talisman of Ascension. So not only do they have all of this mobility, you know, from their champions and their abilities, they've now got the itemization to work with as well. And you've seen how effective it was for Gambit in the previous game. You know, when Gambit were running with their Sivir, you know, they had Wukong and Aatrox, but the mobility power of just starting fights in an instant and catching Alliance out was very good for them. SK have got those tools available. We have to see if they want to use it, though, because thus far in the game, it has really been about the lanes and the minions more than anything else. It actually has been a very passive game.
And I was asking about the Guardian Angel, and I guess I got that one confirmed because Freddy went back and he picked up a Guardian Angel outright for him there as well. And yeah, that is a scary Jax. As we said, 3 kills. He had a horrible time in lane. I say a horrible time in lane. He died a lot in lane, but he stayed even with Xaxus despite all that, as Jankos here is actually going to be decoying out. So this one actually might take more damage than he was expecting, or maybe not, because he's got 4 kills and he's really tanky.
Yeah, and the heal came down from Enrated, got in the movement speed, so he's actually able to sidestep Vanda's hook as well. And again, just SK have got all the tools now. The vision game is what's going to help them win this one up. Celiva is 1.5 miles away in that bottom lane. The rest of SK are denying vision at the red buff. And thanks to this damage that Freddy and Sven have built up, they can actually just 2-man this Baron. The rest of SK can peel, and it looks like Ro8 are none the wiser.
What are they going to do anyway? They've got that defensive line set up. They're pushing mid lane out. They've pushed the bottom lane out. Celiva is down there. Vander is actually going to spot it, so they know that that's going on. There's the hook. Will he follow through? Mega Inferno Bomb? No, it doesn't get stolen. SK Gaming sneak a Baron in after controlling all the dragons, and now Jankos is going to go down. Candy Panda gets that one. This is disaster surely for Ro8. There's the slow one towards Zazas. Jesus comes from around the side, and there is the Bloodwell coming in. A good ultimate over the side from Celiva, but Vander will lose his life. Jesus shields himself and somehow gets away. Celiva needed just one more auto attack before that. That'll be a couple of kills. Baron for SK. They're going to surely push through here.
They've got all the damage they need to get on this inhibitor. The heals are coming down. Those big shields from Jesus are available as well. SK are on the inhibitor turret. Overpower's going to have to do a monumental task. He's been caught!
Yeah, they knocked both Candy Panda and Svenskeren forward from that one. The turret is going to go down. The inhib will fall as well. 3 men are dead. Jankos is up in 10. Vander will be up in 10. Overpower's out for a good 3/4 of a minute as Jesus may lose out. No, wild growth on himself. They're going to try and win it here. Are they going to continue to be Ro8's kryptonite? It looks like it. Freddy and the rest of SK Gaming push on towards the Nexus and go 3-0 against Ro8 in the spring split of the European LCS. Another brilliant performance from SK.
Completely controlled and calculated. SK Gaming went back to a playstyle that helped them secure all those wins a couple of weeks ago. They didn't take risks. They only played aggressive when they had reason to. And in this game, yes, it was a lot slower, but everything that SK did was for a reason and for a purpose. They had an objective in mind, and they played to secure it.
Brilliant, brilliant win there for SK Gaming. That puts them in a decent position. 2 for 1 now here in Super Week. Of course, they've got their old nemesis, Fnatic, to face later on in the day as we see another episode of El Clasico. But this one was another sweet one. And I have to say, for Ro8, sometimes you get into this position where you cannot beat a certain team, where you know, in England we call it a bogey team and use other names around the world, but that is certainly what SK are to Ro8 at this point.
3-0 on the split. There's only one more chance for Ro8 to try and take SK Gaming down, but I think more worryingly is not only that they can't deal with SK, they're 1-3 in Super Week. If you look at that game and you ask yourself, was the game plan to get Zazas fed and going? It seemed to work. He was 3-0, but the Jax pick just countered Aatrox at all stages of the game. And then you have to just think, well, maybe the game plan is flawed, maybe it was execution. You know, there's a lot of things that you have to question if you're a Ro8 member.
It's very nonsensical for me as well, this 1-3, because they beat Gambit in their first game, and they lost to Millennium. They lost to Alliance, who are definitely very strong right now, and to SK Gaming in here. So, for me, Ro8, the Ro8 of old, let's say, you know, from the first 6-7 games where they only really lost 1 to the Copenhagen Wolves before then losing out to Fnatic after that. You know, they need to find that one, and I want to know whether this is teams getting used to Ro8, whether it's Ro8 taking their foot off their pedal in terms of practice or what they're doing really in game.
I think it's both. I feel like teams have started to figure out that if you can control Celiva and Vander, prevent them getting ahead, then you can control the other lanes with your jungler. So we've seen, like in these games, the moment Celiva and Vander aren't having these game-impacting moves and these kills that they can secure for themselves, all of a sudden they sort of fall to pieces in many ways. And I also feel like Ro8 as a team are in a slump. They have to be very careful not to pull a Fnatic and get so down in the dumps about their mindset that it continues. They have to break it themselves.
Well, I have to say, one person that we have to highlight from this game is Svenskeren on Evelyn. 4-1-1 he ended. His performance deserved at least double those kills, though. He was fantastic again.
Yeah, he did really, really well. We've actually got a replay of one of the double kills that he secured in the top lane. Let's pull it up on your screen now. And there's a moment where, you know, Shane, Freddy got ganked again. This is the second time that it happened. And Svenskeren, he's moving up the lane. He knew it was coming, but he just gets you a little late. So let's start this clip through and just run it at normal speed. You'll see that Zazas and Jankos, they're picking on Freddy. They're trying to get him ahead. They're going to kill Freddy, but what was really great is how Svenskeren deals with this gank. He manages to get some damage on Jankos. The tower hit is what kills Jankos because the buff was sitting on Svenskeren. Flashes over the wall, gets those hate spikes down onto Zazas, and that is just straight outplay. Grabbing himself a double kill, avenging Freddy's death and defending that tower as well.
Yeah, by the end of it, his items were just, it was too far ahead, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ran to his own and look at the Iron Slayer. He had a Hex Drinker in there as well as the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. So just generally incredible, incredible play by Svenskeren. once again for SK Gaming. And don't forget, you guys can send us your favorite gameplay moments by tweeting to @LOL Esports and using the hashtag LCS Big Plays. But as we mentioned, this now for SK was, for me, such a needed win. After losing to Gambit, I'm sure they had their talks, and whatever was wrong in Gambit against Gambit wasn't apparent here against Ro8.
Completely agree. It's a very different type of team composition, and I think it goes back to SK's roots in terms of what they do well. SK play Fnatic later today, 2 games from now, in fact, and that is going to be a very important game for them. This is going to be a great confidence boost. The question for me is, if you're Fnatic, what do you ban? How do you go into that game knowing that Nidalee is going to be a contested pick? You know, the Ziggs is still there, the Gragas is still there. These are picks that both of these teams like to play.
Well, guys, it's time for a short break, and when we come back, Shox and Officio will have SK's Candy Panda with him to talk about that win. Well, there's still a lot of Soup Week left to come, with Millennium and the Super Hot crew poised to clash on the Rift. We'll be right back. Because they are going to go for it. Zazza's tanking up all the damage. Freddy, I think he's going to fall. Jankos will finish him off, but Svenskun there, he's got a red buff on. That's dangerous. That's bad news to Jankos. Good flash. Svenskun gets it anyway. He's going to get the blood well out of Zazza's. Has he got the damage to finish off the kill straight away afterwards? Those hate spikes coming in, and it will be a double.
everybody, as we are joined by Candy Panda from SK Gaming. Congratulations, Candy Panda. Nice finish to you guys this Super Week. Tell me what the priorities were coming out of Picks and Bans.
Well, for this game, we wanted to pick like more coordinated, because yesterday we made a lot of mistakes in the team comps. The team, like the champions, didn't really synergize. We picked Zed and Wayne, both split pushers, and we couldn't really use it in the mid game. In this game, we wanted to concentrate more on synergy in the picks.
And what about the Kale support pick? Because you're obviously, with Sivir, you have Kale support on N-rated. Tell me about Kale as a support. What do you think is strong about it? Do you think there's any weakness with it, maybe?
Yeah, so the weakness is that she can't really punish the lane. Like, you can only push, but you can't really engage like you can with any. So it's a different playstyle, but it synergizes so well with the bruisers top that I played, like Irelia and Jax and Aatrox, those kind of champions. So it fits really well. You just have to care you don't get punished in lane.
And then talking about the Jax, of course, this time around you had Jax on your side against Aatrox. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about the matchup itself and what you felt going into the game with it?
Yeah, so I think Jax beats Aatrox, but when we played with Rocket the first time, they played actually Jax and we played Aatrox, but I don't think it was such a popular matchup back then. So we had that part because Freddy played a lot of Aatrox, so we knew how the matchup went, and Success probably never played with Aatrox. So this time the matchup is a lot more trained by both players, so this time Jax beats Aatrox, because that's just how it is. Like, the champions just work that way. So yeah, we just had to care. Like, Freddy died 3 times, but because he didn't lose farm, he just died when he was pushed up. So when he came back to lane, he had like 30 creeps at his tower, and he got the farm he needed.
Tell me a little bit about Svenskeren in this game on Evelynn, because to us it seemed like he was absolutely everywhere. Was he just doing that because he knew where Jankos was going to be all the time, or how did it work?
Yeah, like, jungle isn't only about seeing the other jungler, it's also like, you can see if your mid lane is pushing in and your bot lane is pushing in, like, okay, let me say it different. Like, if all 3 lanes are pushing in, and Jax is like the only one who can really snowball, like, Sivir Kayle is not going to snowball like a Wayne does. Like, Jax was the one who snowballed, so you know that the Wukong is probably going to gank the lane that can snowball the most. So we knew he was probably top all the time, because bottom Sivir Kayle is really hard to kill. Like, they have a speed boost, 2 speed boosts actually. They have a shield and they have the Kayle ultimate, so it's really hard to kill. Lulu mid as well with 6. You have no kill potential.
And look about the game in general then, because it never really looked like you guys were in trouble, except for obviously the ganks onto Freddy, but then Svenskeren was there to counter gang. What is your view on the game in general, and was there ever a time where you're like scared of losing?
No. Even when Freddy died, he said like, I got the farm I need. Like, he was 0-3 and he said, guys, you're not going to believe me, but I'm actually pretty fat. So it wasn't like worrisome. Also because our picks synergized so well that it was not a problem. The only time was when we realized we can't really dive them like we normally do. Normally we play like Annie and Pantheon to just go ham on them and dive them, but this time we had to play it different. We went as used to the playstyle, so we had to figure out how we play it.
Tell me then, the final boost you had for ending the game was obviously when you got the Baron. Not so easy for Svenskeren to get it versus the Ziggs bomb. Were you afraid that he might lose it?
Actually, I didn't even think of the Ziggs bomb. We just saw Wukong mid. He wasn't in smite range. And Sven is a good jungler, so I was confident he was going to smite it.
And then looking at the team after a win like this, obviously everything is working for you guys. You have a good position in the league, a strong team. What is actually, in your opinion, the best thing about this lineup you have now?
The problem-solving ability. I think we all work really well together. If one thinks something doesn't work, the other people, or the one who plays the champion that doesn't work, like, he can see the reason. He just doesn't go stubborn and like says, "Nah, I want to play this champion." We like work well together, and I think it shows.
Do you feel that you have some of your pressure alleviated off your shoulders? Because a couple of weeks ago you were going, I have to pick the champion that I can carry with the most. Has it changed in your mind?
We still play kind of AD heavy, but we adapted different playstyles. Like this game, I don't think I did my job, but I wasn't the one who carried. It was more the Jax. So I think it shows that we can play different styles, and we're not as predictable, where before, okay, Kenny's going to play Caitlyn or Wayne, and he's going to get, like, Sven is going to camp his lane to win the game. So this time, or like over the past weeks, we learned like different playstyles.
Talking about the AD carries then, because we've seen more and more Draven. Mr. Alice played it, Taps played it. Are we going to see Candy Panda play Draven? And what's your opinion about the champion?
I can't play Draven. Like it's too much at once. Like taking care of the access and the last hit and the positioning is like you have to invest so much time into Draven that either you're like Draven and you have like 500 games on